Are you overwhelmed by the challenge of personalizing communication for thousands of students? That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. From nudging prospective students to guiding those already on their journey, AI assistants don't just automate, they write, build, and optimize every step of your digital campaigns. Discover how at element451.com/AI team.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to a special edition of Higher Ed Pulse. I'm your host, Mallory Wilsey, and this is Enrollify's 2024 Hall of Fame, a celebration of the year's most impactful thought leaders. We've curated key moments from our Hall of Famers' appearances across the Enrollify network, highlighting the ideas and insights that are shaping the future of our industry. From groundbreaking takes on AI to bold strategies for student engagement, these voices set the tone for innovation in 2024. Let's jump right into today's episode. Today, we welcome Mickey Baines to the Enrollify 2024 Hall of Fame. Mickey is the President and Chief Revenue Officer at Kennedy & Company Education Strategies. With his expertise in enrollment strategy and data-driven decision-making, Mickey is helping institutions reimagine how they engage students and families. This year, Mickey joined Jeremy Tiers on Mission Admissions and Allison Tercio on the application. In the following clips, Mickey and our hosts explore how institutions can make campus tours more impactful by moving beyond overly scripted experiences. He highlights the importance of personalizing tours and creating tailored communications for parents who are key influencers in the college decision-making process. Mickey also dives into the critical role of data in personalizing student engagement. He emphasizes that schools often miss opportunities to leverage CRM and AI for deeper insights. And he shares why collecting and organizing key data now is essential for creating meaningful AI-driven strategies in the future.
One of the things I really, through this entire experience, I want to get on a college campus with our youngest. And I want to record her giving her college tour. I want her to give the tour. She can't. She's learned what the guides are going to say. And so typically when it's the four of us, Reese and his mom are kind of walking together. And then my daughter, Charlie, and I are kind of walking together. And she'll nudge me when we're talking about student activities, especially. You can this club. And don't forget, if you have an interest you don't see, you can make your own. She knows when it's about to happen, and she'll nudge me to say that that's coming. And we've actually had to stop her a couple times because she's starting on the tour. She'll turn around and start walking backwards herself and start pointing to stuff. And it's so funny to see her don't do that because that's interrupting the tour and you would throw off the tour guide. But she knows. And so I want to record her because she's 11. To see how similar they really are. And it'll be funny, I think, for people to see an 11-year-old give a college tour. But
and to your point, it shouldn't be surprising, though, I think, to anybody listening to this, to that point, Mickey, even an 11-year-old can figure out when something is completely scripted, right? And when, guess what? This is exactly like the last 7 we went on, right, with my brother. And so this is something that, again, has been a problem for years. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why that we don't need to get into today. But anybody listening to this, you've got to audit your tour and you've got to figure out how to make it more personalized, because this is making the college search. I mean, Reese, you tell me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you can disagree with me. It's okay. Do you think it makes it harder? Your dad talked about getting that list down to a more manageable number of schools you might apply to. Do you think it's harder because so many of these tours all run together, like you said earlier?
Yeah, if they were more separate and different, and I could, in my mind, know which school was which, it would be much easier to, sort through and think that one wasn't as good. I don't like it as much. But they all kind of run together in my mind because so many of the tours were so similar. And when I think about, my top schools, I remember those tour guides, and they were more telling facts about the school, but also talking about their personal experiences. And when I think about those top schools, those tours were always just better. The tour guides were always just more free, and it didn't feel like they were scripted as much. Because the one school we went to, the entire time I was thinking, this guy is so scripted. I wish he would just actually talk about how he's feeling. And then at the end of the tour, all the tours ended in the same spot, and he was talking, and the group next to us, the girl that was giving that tour, was saying the exact same thing. And I was like, this is everybody's saying the same thing. Nobody's putting any personalization into this at all. They're just word vomiting at me, and they don't, it didn't feel like they cared as much.
2 seconds into that, I knew exactly which school he was talking about.
Yeah, because we talked about it there.
It's so clear when it's that scripted.
So I want to come back for sure, Reese, and talk to you a little bit more about this idea of personalization, but more so when it comes to all these messages now that schools are sending you. But I want to ask first, before we do that, Mickey, from a parent point of view, we know how important parents are in terms of parent guardian, the role they play in this entire process, right, with a student. Did you feel like any of these tours actually prioritized parents in any way, or do you feel like parents kind of felt like an afterthought on almost all these tours?
No, they did not feel, and they didn't even feel like an afterthought. They were not a thought. And part of my reflection on this is I'm wondering, some colleges intentionally avoiding us, thinking, oh, this is, we can't talk to the parents. This is a college age student. We need to talk to the students. Similarly, as once they're enrolled, you work with a student, you want to help them grow and become an informed, involved adult. And so you also have laws and regulations that say you can't talk to parents. And I don't know how much of that bleeds into that, but it's not a forethought. It's not an afterthought. It's a no thought involvement. And it's not that I want it for me, but I'm thinking of all the other parents. Parents are the number one influencers. Why, if I'm getting an email from a school, I don't think I've received more than a couple that were to me. The rest were just a carbon copy of what they sent Reese. A couple have been to me, and I actually appreciate that a bit more, because what you say to him, you can talk about the same thing, but it needs to be different to me as the parent. Why does it matter to me as a parent? Not, dear Reese, please attend this open house. It's, Mickey, if Reese has the ability to go to this open house, this is what he would learn. This is what you might come out of it with. Those types of things. How do you help your son, daughter, child, whatever? How do you help them process what's right in a college fit? That type of advice, I would suspect, would be well received by most parents. I suspect, because of my role in understanding on the backside of things, I have a bias there, and I want to try to remove that. But, and I think the easiest way is to say, well, do something instead of nothing. That's step one. But then you can start to understand what might be of most interest and then tailor it to parents.
Well, somebody who's similar to you has been doing for 10 years, and I think I can take bias, completely out of this. I hate to say it, but I have to agree with you that the number of schools I go to that still don't have any sort of dedicated parent comm flow doesn't exist. It's just carbon copy, like you said, of everything they send in your example, Reese. Or I've been on enough campus visits myself when I do campus visit audits, and it's everything that you and Reese both talked about earlier, between walking backwards, word vomit, oh, we can't show you the dorms, oh, the exact same tour is being given literally verbatim right over there. At the end of the day, parents are not an afterthought. We know that in this process. That's not news to anybody listening to this. But I tell people all the time, if you want this whole process to stand out more for your school, you have to, besides doing some of the stuff Reese shared earlier with students, prioritize parents more in this entire process, because most schools aren't. And so just by default, you will stand out when you do that, right?
So what can institutions do on our side? What can we be doing to better understand and leverage data we already have or new points of data to enhance our engagement efforts?
So that goes to that concept of the messy middle, because we know someone inquires, we know when someone applies, what they do between those two periods. We don't really know a lot. Sometimes we have data, but the data we have is pretty limited. We know that they've received 12 emails. We know that they clicked on 2 of them, or opened 4, clicked 2. We know that, but we're not necessarily doing anything beyond that to tailor the experience based on what they click or what they open. We might not include them in a list to invite them to an event because they have already registered for that event. But the number of times I've been invited to campus from schools that we've already signed up for a tour with, or my son, because he gets all the emails. We have, we get it all the time. Emails still inviting us to take a tour of campus. Come see campus. Now, I was just talking about, we're going to go back to a lot of those campuses for another tour. So it's not that you can't invite us, but how about tailoring the experience to say, now that you've seen this on campus, or to know that you came and visited in the summer when we don't have people there, come see us when there are people here. That's the different message. That's the different message. That's how we tailor the experience. So knowing that they came for a tour, knowing the time of year they came for a tour, that people weren't there, and that you might want to see it when people are there. That is a tailored experience. We don't track anything close to that. We know that you came. A lot of schools still don't use that in their communication. You could take baby steps to that. So come back to campus is the easiest thing I could say if you've already been. I haven't experienced the ones that we've inquired with right now. None of those are doing that. None. So that's what we're talking about. And so we've got here's a postcard written to us after a tour by a tour guide. All right. Nice. Like it. Very personal. This is the most detailed that anyone's given us. You're going to take a decent amount of time to have a student write this out. But this is pretty tailored to that experience because it was a very small tour for this particular one because that was the academic side of it. So that level of detail is really what we're trying to create in all of our electronic communications. Now, if you are a director of this or an AVP or VP of that, you're not going to know every student's experience. The CRM is your tool to understand and know what's happening. That's really the holder of all the data, of all the experiences the student is having and engaging with university. And so when you've clicked on an email, it's not just clicking on an email anymore. It's knowing what type of email, what was the topic, what was the page, what are those interests. We have to understand where they're engaging with us much more clearly. So it's not just a click. It's a click on this topic or this page. And that it's knowing that they visited our events page 4 times and they've never signed up for anything. Why not? It's knowing that answer. Why not? We got to know it. You got to know that answer. So in my world, we try to break this up. When I look at a CRM, I look at how introductory or how basic your CRM use is versus how advanced it is. And, we try to help schools move to an intermediate to more advanced operation with their CRM. So is it a 101 level, a 201 level, 301 level, 401 level? But you cannot get, I don't care how much money you put into it, you can't get to a 301 without data, because 201 really starts to where you start to branch out to providing some form of a tailored experience. 301 is a near, if not completely tailored experience. If you don't have data, you can't do it. So the real goal in 101 to 201 is thinking about what data might we want to have to create a tailored experience and start collecting the data. And then 201 is starting to deploy that in a more tailored way. Now, here's the thing. AI is changing all of this because how you build those segments or how you build that experience now is very manual. In the future, it will be automated and done for you without that need. But AI can't build it if AI also doesn't know.
Yes. If you don't have the data.
Correct. Or if your CRM natively has the AI functionality to say, I want to send this message next. If you don't have the information in the CRM, it's not going to know. So if you're not implementing and thinking about what data we need to bring in so that in the future, meaning next week or 5 years from now, AI can do this for us, that has to be an initial step and thought process. Whether you're implementing today or you're thinking about it for the future, today's the day to start thinking about what data might we need to have. And then once we know that data, then how are we going to get it? And then either if I have AI, how will AI deploy it? Or if I don't have it, how will I deploy it? But that's really, really important for those experiences. You have to have that data. Absolutely. That is the most important piece for us.
Mickey, congratulations on being inducted into the Enrollify 2024 Hall of Fame. Your expertise in enrollment strategies and innovative approaches to personalization are shaping the future of higher education engagement. The Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our show helps higher ed marketers and admission pros find their next big idea and features a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Brian Gross, Eddie Francis, Jenny Lee Fowler, and so many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.